wetland, what kind of maintenance does that require? Is that, like, can you just sort of put that in and let it go, or does it require, like...
Basically, yeah, the question is, could you just build something and then that's done? The answer is no. The short answer is no. And we're still trying, and the science itself, and fluvial geomorphology, especially in an urban setting, is still trying to grasp what is that level of maintenance. Because the idea is that we wouldn't want to build something that requires constant attention. So you essentially have to look at all of your guiding principles, which in terms of stream restoration are primarily driven by flow and the amount of the hydrology that stream sees. What is the base flow? What is the 1-year return flow? What is the 50-year return flow? So that's where you start in terms of what the size of the stream needs to look like, what it looks like in cross-section, what exactly, how high is the floodplain, and all those things are dictated by the flow and the return frequency of those flows. So the idea is to do that. Now, with that, you also have to understand that there's other complicating factors in play. One is that there's invasive species, plant species, throughout the city of Philadelphia, Japanese knotweed being one of the primary ones. And to have a successful recruitment of plants that you actually want on your floodplain, native species, you need to manage those. So you're going to be in there dealing with the Japanese knotweed, and that starts before you even put shovel to ground. You actually have to eradicate the knotweed, get rid of all of its seed, and then you have to replace it with something because it is a very successful volunteer species.
Once it gets in, it doesn't go.
Yeah, so that's one aspect of it. The other aspects of it are, what is how does sediment manage within the stream corridor? One of the common misconceptions about streams is that they just move water. That's not the case at all. Streams serve two purposes. They move water and they move sediment, because sediment is constantly in supply and it needs to be either transported or deposited somewhere. It's conservation of mass. And so the stream has to be designed in such a way that sediment is managed in a sustainable fashion. The sediment load of a stream can be kind of classified into two different things. One of them is the wash load, and the second is the bed load. The wash load is the stuff that flows into a stream and has no chance at all of getting deposited. So once it's mobilized, it's never going to deposit until maybe it gets down to a delta somewhere, merging with the Delaware River or even the Delaware Bay. It's that small. It requires so little energy that it just moves. So you don't really worry about the wash load so much. What you do worry about is how much wash load you create from your banks, and because the banks are very fine material, and you want to prevent that where possible, because those banks very easily become wash load, and then that changes the dynamics of your stream. The second part is bed load, which isn't the same. Bed load is what gets moved by your larger storm events, your 1 to 2 year frequency flows. In the Cobbs Creek, your base flow is essentially around 10 to 12 CFS during the average time of year. But down, the bank full discharge, or the 1 to 2 year flow, ranges anywhere from 500 CFS to 2,000 CFS. So you're talking about literally 50 to 200-fold increases in the amount of flow. That's going to move pretty big material. And that's where you have to really be concerned, because the big material can be mobilized. I'm talking about cobbles, like things like the size of a softball, can be mobilized, but once that flow dissipates, they're going to be deposited somewhere. And so those pieces of material are what build your point bars. They're what fill in your pools if given the chance, and completely can change the dynamic of your stream. So that's an aspect that you want to make sure you design your stream so that it's doing that, but if it's not doing that, you've got to understand why it isn't doing that. And that could be a result of instability in your banks. It could be instability upstream of your restoration project, which everybody says the ideal thing would be to start from upstream and work your way down, but that doesn't, streams don't respect political borders, they don't respect county lines, they don't respect sewer lines, they don't respect bridges or streets or anything else. So that's not necessarily the case. So you also have to understand pretty firmly what your watershed is doing upstream so that you have a balance in terms of dealing with that sediment. Because otherwise, what you built isn't going to last very long. What you built is going to be changed, and if things are changed outside the design parameters that guided your stream, then you can have lateral erosion, you can have incision, which means down cutting of the stream, and then you're kind of left where you started. The main thing to know about stream restoration is that it's an extremely young science, and it's even younger when you look at it from an urban perspective, because it's only recently gotten traction in the urban areas until probably the last 15, 20 years. Within the water department, our mindset has been stability, stability, stability. With organizations like the Army Corps of Engineers, it was, well, what's the 100-year flow and how can we keep the water inside the channel other than that? And that was especially the case in an urban setting because the risks versus the rewards are so great. If something fails, then a sewer pipe may get compromised and all sewage is discharged in the stream. Or if something fails, then a neighborhood of 10,000 people could get flooded. So those sorts of risks created the factor of safety, that's such a common term in engineering, to be multiplied so high that the actual health of the stream is ignored. So now we're trying to find out where that balance is. And the first thing that you need to understand in any engineering project is you have to understand what does it take to operate it, what does it take to maintain it. Think that you're ever going to spend money up front and then your project's going to be off. It's not going to be like, you know, holding the back seat of your 5-year-old and letting him ride down the block and then all of a sudden he's off on his own. You're going to be there the whole time making sure that that project is there. You know, from a parenting perspective, you're never done. The same thing from an engineering perspective, you're never done. And that's going to be especially the case in stream restoration. You know, just like these plants that are just pictures of around the wall and pipes, they're not just built and left to go. There's maintenance to go. Inlets need to be cleaned. Filters need to be backwashed. Maintenance is always on the forefront of any project we do with the water department. Stream, green infrastructure, or water, or plant.